Hey Bryce, can we talk about the current challenges that you face in the construction industry today? What are some of the key challenges?
Okay, firstly I should say that typically a construction company, commercial construction company is made up of two halves,
Yep.
the commercial side and the delivery side.
Yep.
And I am the managing director, but I'm more from the delivery side, so most of my answers today will be around the delivery side.
Yep.
Okay. So the challenges that we do face, though, are trying to create a point of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by that I mean someone that's working on a building site can basically decide, right, I'm going to start a commercial construction company and
Right.
price a job if the client will let them. The same as a company like ourselves that's been around for 40 years and have a huge overhead structure that allows you to complete these projects efficiently, economically, etc. But you're competing with a guy that's working out the back of a truck. So we really do struggle with that ease of entry into the market.
It's not that easy though, is it? You've still got to put up performance bonds in. And not everybody has the money to put up the performance bond to take on that kind of risk for a commercial project.
In a number of projects you don't need to.
Really? That's actually news to me. Right, interesting.
Yeah. Most of our projects, I would say most of our projects, we do have to put up a bond.
Yep.
Once again, that's allowed us to create a point of difference, so we've entered that market.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're telling me is, me as strategic planning, being a planning company, I could go build a commercial job tomorrow, become a builder.
Correct.
What do I need?
An advertisement, and you're away. You
And
need,
connections.
You need a client that'll say yes to your price, and you're away. The ease of entry into the market is very, very easy.
Interesting.
Certain aspects of from a commercial construction point of view, you don't need to be a licensed building practitioner to enter the market. Residentially, you need to be a licensed building practitioner. Essentially the clients that we have, our client base, are very, very careful to ensure that from their point of view, from a risk point of view, they are dealing with construction companies that have the ability to complete their project, but we do compete with construction companies that would have an overhead structure of 50% of ours at least.
Wow. So how do you compete with those construction companies? What do you do differently?
Well, we try and create a point of difference around delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. Not having any problems during the project. Working through the risk at the front end to ensure that the risk for all stakeholders is minimised effectively.
Or understood.
Understood?
With treatment plans in place.
Correct.
Right. Okay. That's quite interesting though. Right. Okay. So but it's inevitable that you're going to have problems during construction because change is the only constant.
Correct.
So how do you deal with change management in that instance? As a company, as Bryce, who's the managing director of McCreadie, how do you deal with it?
You've got to be very, very flexible. There's always,
flexible, you reckon? Not contractual?
No, flexible.
Flexible? Tell me how so.
Well, at the end of the day, I always say if I've got to pull a contract out, I'm in trouble.
Right.
And to a certain extent, I haven't done my job. I haven't managed the risk for all stakeholders. Okay. Hey, that's not to say I've never had to pull out a contract. I have.
On the other hand, I'll tell you, if I walk on a site and if I don't see a contract on the project manager's table, you're already in trouble.
The project manager needs to understand the contract.
Yep.
But pulling it out means you're having to visit a clause to look at an issue you've got, and essentially we try. It is one of McCreadie Commercial Construction's mantras that it's not the client's problem.
Right.
Okay. We want to fix this. We want to work collaboratively with you to get to the end goal. It's very important to us that we do that because I'd say 50% of our turnover is repeat work. You don't get repeat work from people that have ended up with a bad taste in their mouth.
Oh, 100%. And the key thing is building up that client base to have repeat work, to work with the people you trust collaboratively. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good on you. That's really, really cool. So what other challenges are you facing?
Well,
apart from dealing with couple of guys in a truck.
Yeah, well, I mean, At the present, it's fair to say the market is certainly tightening. I don't know if you're opening up the back of the Herald and looking at the public notices every day like I am. 50 to 60% of those notices are construction related companies essentially going into liquidation. So everyone is struggling with making a buck at the moment. There's a lot of stress out in the market. So we really are struggling with that challenge.
Why do you think that is, though? Is it because of the interest rates going up, or is it bad contract management? Is it, I don't know, what is it from your perspective?
Having talked to a number of our key subcontractors, on the back of the financial issues they had with COVID, then escalation, which followed COVID, then moving into a market which is dipping.
And along that journey, the cost of procurement of material and the cost of construction has almost gone up quite significantly, hasn't it?
Escalation, exactly.
Escalation, that's right.
Escalation, exactly.
Yep.
So those three issues have, to a large extent, created a perfect storm for a number of people. And to make it even worse, we've had recently some key commercial construction companies, basically go into liquidation or receivership, etc., etc. And the people who get hurt the most are the people that work for those construction companies, the subcontractors.
Yeah.
And in Auckland, the subcontract pool is relatively small, even though Auckland's probably the biggest construction centre in New Zealand. We all feed from the same subcontract pool. And that's one of our biggest risks at the moment is ensuring that we're employing people that are financially stable and are going to be able to complete the work, because if they do go into liquidation during one of our construction projects, we still have to finish that project.
So let's run through that scenario, right? There's a challenge that you face. You're building a big $20 million project.
Mm-hmm.
One of your subcontractors, say the guy who supplies you Rio, goes bust. What do you do? How do you manage that situation?
Well, recently we were exposed to our site works contractor that was on 80% of our projects going into voluntary administration and then liquidation.
Wow.
So what we did...
That breaks my heart, but...
Yeah, exactly. I had worked with the guy for 20 years, and for reasons we won't get into today, he's not here anymore. But what we did in that case was, the first thing we did was approached our key clients and said, look, we have this issue. Want you to understand that we are putting this in place to deal with it, okay?
And this could entail bringing an additional resource.
Initially, we were advised of the issue relatively early. Yeah. So we were able to manage the process through the administration process while the company was still trading, okay? To the point that once it moved into liquidation, of course, at that point, we had alternative subcontractors to pick up the work that was left to be done. Yeah. We had alternative subcontractors to move on to the projects that we had starting soon, and essentially from the point of view of our clients, it was a seamless transition from one subcontractor to a number of subcontractors. And the projects, a couple of them were actually delayed from a time point of view, but thankfully our clients, because of our collaborative approach, our relationships, were sympathetic to that situation, and we weren't punished.
Yep, that is the way to go, though, isn't it? Collaboration and open and honest communication. Yeah.
That's another mantra of McCreadie Commercial Construction: integrity, honesty, and delivery.
Mate, that's the one. You hit the nail on the head right there. Yeah.